The Los Angeles Chargers had a massive change this season because they finally fired Brandon Staley. I think it was long overdue. I would have fired him the year they could have gone to the playoffs by tying the Raiders and completely blew that opportunity and gave the Raiders a chance to win. But we are way past that point now. This is going to be a quick editor's note real fast. I am about to screw up the Harbaughs, so I accidentally say the wrong one twice in this video. I'm about to say that the Chargers hired John Harbaugh, and then later when I'm talking about playbooks, I say we're using Jim Harbaugh's playbook. Obviously, a complete and total mix-up on me. I apologize. It's not that big of a deal, but I did notice it while I was editing. And they managed to sign John Harbaugh away from Michigan following a national championship. I think that was a massive hire. I really did not think he was going to leave Michigan following a national championship. Now, in this rebuild, I generally give myself 3 or 5 seasons to win a Super Bowl depending on the team's situation. And this team's situation is very unique. I was really torn on what I should do with the Chargers, but ultimately it came down to the fact that Justin Herbert is already an 89 overall superstar depth trait in his 4th season. So I'm going to give myself 3 years to win a Super Bowl, otherwise this rebuild will be considered a failure. And in these offseason rebuilds, what I've been doing most of the time is making these guys a star depth trait. Well, Joe Alt was the first tackle taken off the board, and I think by far the best one in the class. Alright, maybe not by far, but I think he is the best one in the class, and I think it's realistic that in the next Madden he would have a superstar depth trait, so that is what I decided to give him here. Now, obviously, they lost their veteran receivers in Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. I really don't know how much they're going to lose with Mike Williams because it feels like he's been injured most of his career. But in the second round, they did take Ladd McConkey out of Georgia, and that is who we are going to try to turn into a wide receiver 1. And now, obviously, this guy will not be a rookie come next season, and I highly doubt he will have a star depth trait, but that is what he has here, and we are still going to try to save the career of Quentin Johnston. And by save his career, I don't mean he's already a bust. Now, granted, it does not look good right now, but I still think there's plenty of time for him to turn it around. He was a solid receiver at TCU. I actually got to see him play in person. Made some sort of insane catch over an OU defensive back. It was ridiculous. But now, moving on, one of their big free agent signings was J.K. Dobbins, and we are going to start him over their other free agent signing in Gus Edwards, just because Dobbins is a little bit younger, and I think we can still develop him more. Now moving over to the defensive side of the ball, they took Junior Colson, a linebacker out of Michigan, in the 3rd round. I'm sure that wasn't a shock to a lot of people that John Harbaugh wanted this kid, but he's going to come in with a star depth trait as well and a 73 overall. Now you will notice a couple other changes on defense. I signed Shaq Lawson and Xavier Howard just to have a little bit more help on this team. Asante Samuel Jr. is a really good player, but I don't think at an 84 overall he is ready to be our corner number 1, especially if the other side of the field is Christian Fulton. The schemes and playbook are going to be the exact same one that I was using in the last rebuild when I rebuilt Jacksonville, a West Coast zone run and a disguised 3-4, with Mike McCarthy's playbook or the Cowboys playbook and Jim Harbaugh or the Ravens playbook over on defense. For the very first season here, we are just going to make our goal to just make the playoffs. I still wish there was a goal to like win 1 playoff game or make a certain round of the playoffs or something like that. But we'll just settle for make the playoffs because I'm not ready to say our objective is to win the Super Bowl just yet. I will take it in year 1, but I don't think it's going to happen. One of the big things I think this team is going to need next year is more defensive help. The D-line does not look very good. There is some D-line talent in this draft class. Obviously, the top guy is a quarterback. We're really not going to look at that. But we would also need a new center, and there is not a lot of talent there. We do get off to a really good start in this rebuild, though, by picking up a 38-9 victory over the Dolphins. Justin Herbert throws 2 touchdowns, but J.K. Dobbins runs in for 3 scores of his own. Well, hopefully we can keep this momentum going. Let's see if we can win in Week 2 against the Titans. Now, they are off to an 0-1 start. Obviously, we got off to a 1-0 start. Let's see if we can start this rebuild 2-0 and have a really good first season, maybe? We do not get to start 2-0. We lose 16-14 to the Titans. And it looks like Will Levis threw a touchdown. Justin Herbert threw a touchdown. What about on the ground? Tony Pollard ran for 93 yards in a score. J.K. Dobbins got a touchdown, but that's about it. Alright, well, we see we get off to a 1-1 start. Now let's jump to mid-season and see how we are. Alright, not a bad start for us with a 4-2 record. Apparently, Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen are off to a solid start with a 4-3 record. We have the number 25 offense in the league. That is not good, but the number 4 defense, so obviously that is good. One of the things I always love to look at is the points per game, and right now on offensive points per game we're number 3, and defensive points per game we're number 7. Justin Herbert's off to a 1,400-yard start with 9 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins with 9 touchdowns on the ground, and a receiving Josh Palmer, 403 yards and a score. Ladd McConkey has a touchdown, Hayden Hurst has 3, and Quentin Johnston has 3. I went ahead and simulated a few more games into the year. We beat the Bears, lost to the Jets, and then defeated the Lions. So right now we are 6-3, and from here I'm just going to jump to the end of the season and we will find out if we win the division, get in as a wild card, or somehow collapse and miss the playoffs altogether. Oh boy, we get a great matchup here on the wild card round. We finished 10-7. Kansas City wins the division with a 13-4 record. We finish as the number 2 offense in points per game and the number 5 defense in points per game. Overall wise, we're the number 6 offense and the number 10 defense, so we're still a pretty good team. But Kansas City going 13-4 and not getting the bye week. Baltimore went 15-2. Alright, the Ravens are absolutely terrifying. I would say Justin Herbert had a pretty solid year. Almost 4,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins with 19 rushing touchdowns though, and then receiving, Josh Palmer with 7 touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. Ladd McConkey, 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Quentin Johnston, over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. Hayden Hurst got 4. J.K. Dobbins caught 2. Disley caught 2. And Donald Parham even came away with 1. Over on defense, it looks like Junior Colson actually led the team in tackles. In sacks, that goes to Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa for 13.5 and 11.5 sacks. And interceptions, Derwin James came away with 3 to lead the team. Well, aside from the fact that Kansas City is just a really good team and a just incredible team in simulation, we actually lost both times to them in the regular season, 29-35 and 21-24. So now we have to try to beat them in the playoffs in Kansas City. Here is how the rest of the playoff bracket has played out. We apparently get in as the 7 seed. I should have probably known that since they got in at 13-4 and weren't the 1 seed. So we barely make the playoffs, but the way I simulate games in this is I will jump in near the end if I think it's going to be a good game. Other than that, I will super sim the entire thing. But let's figure out if we can win our first playoff game of the rebuild here in Season 1. And unfortunately, no, we are not going to get the win in this game. The final score was 30-21. We actually got off to a pretty early lead, but Kansas City came back in around the late second, early third quarter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. We get bounced in the first round of the playoffs. And this year's Super Bowl champion goes to the Dallas Cowboys, apparently led by Super Bowl MVP defensive back Trayvon Diggs. But if you look on the right side of the screen, you can see that Junior Colson actually ended up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. And we actually have a retirement going into the offseason. Our center, Josh Harris, has retired. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know if he was our starter this last year, but we do need a new center anyway. We only have a handful of players to re-sign here, but the first one we're going to try to re-sign is our kicker, Cameron Dicker. He does have a lot of interest in coming back. We'll bump that up to $2 million on the signing bonus, and he is not interested in signing. Alright, well, we're going to try to get him back. Moving on, though, we are going to take the 5th-year option on Rashawn Slater at a 90 overall. It's a pretty obvious decision. As of right now, though, everyone else will be leaving this team. We may end up bringing back a guy like Xavier Howard, but right now I don't want to give him his like $12 million contract that he wants, so we're just going to move on. The first position group I really wanted to look at in free agency was receiver, and there is Amari Cooper who has a ton of interest in coming here, but he's not a scheme fit, and sometimes that can really mess up simulation. We may still end up throwing him an offer, but he is already 30 years old, and aside from that, there's Rashid Shaheed who has no interest in coming here, and everyone else is below an 80 overall. Ultimately, I decided not to sign a receiver. I really didn't like any of the contracts that were going out, so we brought back Xavier Howard and Cameron Dicker, and then we signed Derek Barnett at defensive end. The rest of this offseason will be building through the draft, where we don't have any extra picks, we just have our own 1 through 7. As you just saw, we pick all the way down at number 22, so let's see who exactly we are being mocked here. And if you've played Madden 24, you know this is exactly how the first round is going to fall unless I take someone else. And they are mocking us a center in Nick Ramsey. He has pretty solid looking stats. That may be the pick. With our first pick, I'm actually looking at some possible trades, and I like the idea of Minnesota giving us pick number 40, but I don't like the idea of it being a second rounder next year, so let me see if I can change this offer just a bit. And here is the modified trade. We are sending our first round pick this year and our 4th round pick this year to Minnesota in exchange to fall back to pick number 40 this year and pick up a first-round pick in the next draft. And the reason I did that is because there was that center that was mocked to us, but there's also James Altman here with A awareness, A impact, A run block, and then he also comes in with B pass block, 21 years old. James Altman, you are now going to be our starting center with a hidden dev trait. Now we jump later into the second round where we hold pick number 22, and I am very well aware I said this team needs defense to really get better, but center was a position of need, and I think tight end Zeke Clemens can be a big addition to the offense. He has great speed, great acceleration, A catching traffic, B catching, B deep route, A to B run block. Zeke Clemens, welcome to Los Angeles, and you're a normal dev trait, because of course you are. That was probably not the best pick I could have made there, not gonna lie to you guys. But how about here in the third round, we take right in Alex Woodard out of LSU with C block shedding, B finesse move, and B tackle. He is coming to Los Angeles also with a normal dev trait. Alright, this draft class was not good. Well, maybe it's not near as bad as I thought. We did get a 73 overall center with a hidden dev trait. Clemens comes in as a 73 overall with a normal dev trait. Woodard is a 71. Wembley is a 71 overall corner that we got in the 5th round. Then a 67 overall quarterback and a 69 overall corner in the 7th. The best player in this draft was the 79 overall quarterback that was mocked as the #1 player the entire season that Denver took with the #1 pick in Owen Graham. Which is just great for us because that's all this division needed is another elite quarterback. Before Season 2 kicks off, we have made a massive trade with the 49ers. We have sent Josh Palmer and a 2nd round pick in the next draft and a 1st round pick in the draft after that in exchange for wide receiver Deebo Samuel. There are a few reasons I made that trade. Number 1 being Brandon Ayuk is now higher rated than Deebo Samuel in San Francisco. So here Samuel gets to be the wide receiver 1 and it seriously improves our wide receiver room. Now aside from that trade, a couple more changes that have been made to the offense. Justin Herbert now a superstar X Factor. We have a brand new center in Altman. Joe Alt's up to an 84 overall and Zeke Clemens will be our starting tight end. Over on the defensive side of the ball, the only real changes that have been made are Derek Barnett got signed. Asante Samuel Jr. will now be the #1 corner because he's a higher rating than Howard. And Junior Colson now a superstar dev trait and Khalil Mack a superstar X Factor. We are once again just going to make our season goal to be to make the playoffs, and now we're going to jump to the midway point in the year and see how good this team is. Unfortunately, it's not near as pretty as it was in Season 1. We are now 3-3 and 3rd in the division. We have the 15th offense in points per game and the 23rd defense. I really don't see any problem with the way Justin Herbert's playing. 1,400 yards, 8 touchdowns, only 1 interception. Running the ball, J.K. Dobbins only 4 touchdowns this year. Receiving, Deebo Samuel's only caught a single touchdown pass here. Ladd McConkey does have 3, and Quentin Johnson has 2. I now have some good news here. We did start the year 3-3, which was worse than last year, but we have now won 3 games in a row, so we are right back to 6-3, just like we were last season. So now I can jump to the end of the season and see if we were in the playoffs or not. Not only are we going to make the playoffs this year, we win the division with a 14-3 record and are the #1 seed. So since that midway point, we have not lost a single game. We are on an 11-game winning streak with the #8 offense in points per game and the #4 defense in points per game. And we did that without Herbert even breaking 4,000 yards this year, 28 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. Running the ball, J.K. Dobbins ran for 12 touchdowns, but Gus Edwards ran in for 11. Herbert also ran for 5 touchdowns and 500 yards. And then receiving, Deebo Samuel, 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Ladd McConkey, almost 1,000 yards and 7 scores. Quentin Johnson got 3. And our rookie tight end, Zeke Clemens, came away with 7 scores on the year. Now, what about defense? Junior Colson once again leads the team in tackles with 114. In sacks, Khalil Mack got 11. Joey Bosa got 7.5. Interceptions, Alohi Gilman, I probably said your name wrong, but he came away with 5 picks on the year to lead the team. This is just absurd. So we started the year 3-3, had our bye week, and have since won every single game. Now there are some close calls in here, but the important thing is we are pulling out victories, including in Kansas City. And speaking of Kansas City, they just got bounced in the first round of the playoffs by Buffalo 23-17, and now we will get to take on the Bills in the divisional round and you can see how the rest of the playoffs have played out so far. We officially have our first game we are jumping into, down by 4 on a 4th and 4 from the 37. Herbert will drop back to pass, a quick throw, and that bounces right off the rookie tight end, a turnover on downs. So now we're going to need the defense to come up with a stop here. 4:34 to play on 1st and 10. Allen will drop back, a quick throw to the outside is caught and immediately brought down, but he has the first of the 49. Allen back in shotgun again. The clock is running. And it's going to be a handoff to James Cook, who goes up the middle for another first down for Buffalo. This one into Chargers territory. All right, defense, now would be a great time to tighten up. 3.5 minutes to play from the 41-yard line. They go back to James Cook to the outside, and he gets brought down by Bosa for just a 3-yard carry. Now with a 2nd and 7. Allen back in shotgun. It'll be a play fake to Cook. Rolling to the outside, and Josh Allen's going to take off himself and have the first down, getting forced out of the 28 with 2:57 remaining. At this point, we are just hoping for a turnover or a field goal try. From the 28-yard line, he lines up under center, and they go to James Cook to the outside, who gets by everybody, has the first down, and is finally going to be caught at the 4-yard line. 1st and goal with 2:18 remaining. Allen back in shotgun. Cook is the running back here, letting the clock run down a bit. It'll be a handoff to Cook, and he's trying to find some space and will dance his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Buffalo. Well, we are not completely dead in this game. Down by 11 with 2:06 to play. We do have all 3 timeouts. Herbert on the first play will go to the outside, caught by the tight end. It looks like you can actually pay attention to catch the ball. That takes us down to the 2-minute warning. Now on a 2nd and 4 from the 28-yard line. Herbert's back in shotgun again. He will take the snap and look to go downfield one more time, and that's going to be incomplete. Intended that one for Ladd McConkey, and it sets up a 3rd down. From the 28-yard line, Herbert back in shotgun will take the snap and run a play fake. Now he's throwing towards the sideline. That'll be caught by the rookie tight end, and he's out of bounds at the 42, getting the first down. Now out of shotgun, Herbert will look to pass. A quick throw to the outside. That'll be caught once again by the tight end. He has another first down, this one to the 45. And he's managed to get out of bounds on both plays, so the clock is stopped at 1:47. Herbert back in shotgun will try to pass again, going deep downfield, and that one will be dropped by Ladd McConkey. 2nd and 10. It is going to bring up a 5-wide set for the Chargers now. From the 45-yard line, Herbert's all alone in the backfield. Will drop back to the pass, firing deep downfield. He's got his man again, and that's once again the tight end, this time all the way down to the 19. We do run the no-huddle offense, though. 1:20 to play. Herbert back in shotgun again. Will once again look to pass. He's firing downfield, and this time it's going to be all the way down to the 1-yard line for a 1st and goal. I think that might have been Deebo Samuel from inside the 1. He takes the snap looking for a quick play. Herbert throwing to the end zone, and a wide open man. Our rookie tight end, Zeke Clements, just came up huge on that entire drive. Granted, it would have been better if he actually caught the pass on the 4th down that we saw earlier. But now with 56 seconds remaining, we are going to go for 2. Herbert with a quick throw to the end zone, and we will make this a 3-point game. Now we need an onside kick or a stop from our defense. The kick is away. It will bounce downfield. There was no one else back there except a Bills player, and he gets brought down to the 50. Now defense, we need a stop and a miracle. 53 seconds remaining from an I formation. Hand up to James Cook right up the middle, and they start this with a 5-yard carry. That is not what you want to see. 2nd and 5 from the 45. A single first down would end this game. And there it is, as James Cook easily has it to the 30-yard line. And we're going to get bounced out in the divisional round of the playoffs despite being the 1 seed. It probably won't take much to remember that this was the last season's Super Bowl when Dallas won 21-13. Well, this year, Dallas won 28-24. So they're now back-to-back Super Bowl champions. And as an Eagles fan, that makes me want to vomit, kind of. This will be our final offseason for this rebuild, and there are 15 players ready to negotiate, and we only have $30 million in cap, so there may be some tough decisions made this offseason. The first one is Asante Samuel Jr., who apparently wants no income tax. We are going to offer him a player-friendly deal, so it says low risk. We're paying him a lot of money, but he is a really solid corner, and he will be returning. The next thing to take care of is we are going to be accepting the 5th-year option of left guard Zion Johnson. Alright, just trying to keep our punter just because. Let's see if we can keep J.K. Scott, and he has re-signed. Now after all of that, we have $13 million left in cap, and all of these guys are going to be walking into free agency. Let me see if I can make any other moves after this to see if we can free up any more cap at all. The real answer to that is not really. Joey Bosa would free up $25.4 million in cap, but with losing Khalil Mack, we may really need him to step up. We just got Deebo Samuel. He's still a 90 overall. Corey Linsley still a pretty solid guard for us. Derwin James obviously an elite safety for us. I mean, Trey Pipkins III, a 72 overall right tackle. I'm feeling like we can probably get rid of him. Who's our other right tackle on the roster? It is Joe Alt, obviously. Okay, don't know why I forgot that one. But let's go ahead and cut Trey Pipkins just to free up a little bit more space. Well, I did not have a ton of cap space, and there weren't really a lot of superstars at positions we really needed this year. So we ended up with Khalil Mack and Michael Carter, the corner, not the running back. Or at least not to be confused with the running back. But here's how the free agent class looked. There was a couple safeties at the top, a couple offensive guards, and then we had Stephon Gilmore here, but he's an 84 overall with 89 speed. Not really willing to give him a ton of money. If you remember in the last draft, we traded out of the first round with Minnesota. In exchange, we got their first round pick. Well, that ends up being pick number 24. So now let's see who we are being mocked to take in this draft. There are a couple of players that I really like in this class, like middle linebacker Darren Stevenson out of UCLA. Has some really nice attributes. There's another middle linebacker as well in Terrence Kennedy who has some pretty solid attributes as well. But we are down here at pick number 24, mocked to take defensive tackle Vernon McNeil, and pick number 28, left tackle Joseph Jupin. But now that we are at the draft, I am looking at defensive back Channing Fowler out of Washington, 21 years old. He's projected in rounds 1 to 2, but I have him 100% scouted as a top 5 talent, B-man coverage, A press, B zone, C catching, but that's fine, elite speed and acceleration. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and take Channing Fowler, and he's going to come in as a hidden dev trade. With our own pick at pick 28, I would love to actually trade back a bit, but I want to pick up a second and a third rounder for this season. And the Dolphins were willing to do that, so they get to move back into the first round, and we pick up a second and a third round pick for this season. And the reason I did that is because there are a couple players that I really want here in the mid rounds of the draft. Nolan McCall is projected to go in rounds 3 to 4, but as A block shed, A tackle, B zone, A to B pursuit, has elite speed and great acceleration, along with A to B awareness and A play rec. Nolan McCall, you are a member of the Chargers with a hidden dev trait. And the other player I want is defensive tackle Ramon Matias. I probably said that name wrong, but we're now here at the beginning of the third round, and he comes in with B block shed, C finesse and power move, but A tackle and elite strength. So Matias, welcome to the Chargers with a hidden dev trait and 96 strength. With the other third round pick here at pick number 28, we're going to take middle linebacker Sergio Hendricks out of Wisconsin. B block shed, B pursuit, B tackle, A to C zone coverage, elite speed, great acceleration. His awareness is an A, play rec is A to C. Hendricks, you will be our second middle linebacker, and you will also have a hidden dev trait. Generally in these rebuilds, I only pick in the first 3 rounds of the draft, but considering the role I have been on the last few picks, let's go ahead and keep that going until I get a normal dev trait player, and it may be right here with defensive back Travis Farrow out of Northern Illinois. He's projected in rounds 1 to 2 and has 1 to 2 for a talent grade as well. I really can't see why he's fallen, except for maybe he's not that fast of a corner, and then his awareness is a C and his play rec is a C. But right now he would be like the 4th DB on our depth chart just to kind of sit back there and develop. So Travis Farrow, welcome to Los Angeles with another hidden dev trait player. Now, if I was a betting man, I would say this is where my streak will end of hidden dev trait players. Defensive end Will Bellamy out of Temple, 23 years old, B to D block shedding, B power move, C tackle. Welcome to Los Angeles, and it will be a normal dev trait. So now we will go right to the end of the draft. Now, none of these guys are the best player I've ever drafted in Madden 24, but in terms of just overalls in the first 4 rounds, this is probably one of, if not the best class I have ever taken in this game. We got a 78 overall corner, a 77 overall outside linebacker, a 74 overall defensive tackle, a 75 overall middle linebacker, a 74 overall corner, then we took a 66 overall defensive end, then we let the computer do the rest with a 66 overall running back and a 68 overall receiver. And I really considered trading up to take Darren Stevenson. He is an 81 overall, I imagine with a hidden dev trait. Let's see if he is a superstar X Factor, because if he is, I'm going to kind of regret not trading up for him. And he is a superstar X Factor. Alright, so that will be a generational linebacker for the Browns. We would have had to give up a ton to go up and get him, which is about my only saving grace here. They wanted like 3 first-round picks, or they wanted Derwin James or Rashawn Slater. I really just wasn't up for that. The second best player in the class is an 80 overall in J.R. Preston, a defensive end the Titans took with the second overall pick. Before we take a look at the final roster of this rebuild, we need to set our season goal, and it's a pretty obvious one. We need to win the Super Bowl, otherwise this rebuild will go down as a failure. Here is officially your final starting offense. We have a 96 overall quarterback in Justin Herbert. His number 1 receiver is a 90 overall Deebo Samuel. We've gotten Ladd McConkey up to an 85 overall. Quentin Johnston now an 80 overall. The only thing I really regret is tight end Zeke Clemens is only a 77 overall with a normal depth trait. Now the defense looks completely different to me. We got a brand new defensive tackle. We have 2 rookies starting at linebacker. McCall is going to start over Khalil Mack, but Mack is still listed as like our rushing right end, so he's still going to get after the quarterback when we need him to. McCall is not exactly great at that. We got 2 hidden depth trait corners in the draft. I am really excited for this team, and if we were going past season 3 on this, I would be really excited for this team's future. However, though, it is the final season of this rebuild episode, and we're needing to get to a Super Bowl and pull off the victory. We will not be going to the mid-season point this time. We're going right to the end of the year to see if we make the playoffs or if the episode's going to end abruptly at the end of the regular season. Luckily, we do manage to make the playoffs this year with a 10-7 record, getting in as the wild card. Kansas City went 16-1, so they are getting in as the 1 seed this year. Justin Herbert goes for 4,600 yards, 43 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions on the season. J.K. Dobbins, 1,100 yards and 11 scores on the ground. Deebo Samuel had nearly 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns this year. Quentin Johnston got 8, Ladd McConkey came away with 6, Zeke Clemens got 5, J.K. Dobbins got 3, and Hayden Hurst even caught 1 on the season. And Junior Colson once again leads our team in tackles. In sacks, Khalil Mack gets 10. And then interceptions, Channing Fowler got 2, along with Asante Samuel. So our 2 starting corners both came away with 2 this year. For the second time in this rebuild, we get into the playoffs as a 7 seed. So let's go see if we can upset the 2 seed, the Baltimore Ravens, at home. The Baltimore Ravens are not headed to a 3rd straight Super Bowl because we have finally managed to win a playoff game in this rebuild by a final score of 42-20. Our offense absolutely lit them up. But you can probably guess what that means, and what that means, if you can't get it, is that we have to travel to Kansas City and take on the Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs. Before we get into this game, I completely forgot to look at the end of the regular season at all of the team stats at the bottom of the screen, so let's do that now. We are the number 3 offense in offensive points per game, and the number 28 defense in points per game. Obviously not great. Offensive rank, we are number 2, and defensive rank, we are number 22. We jump into this game up by 7 with 2.5 minutes to go. He's going downfield. He finds Ladd McConkey for the first down to the 40-yard line. That one would take us down to the 2-minute warning. So now from the 40, back in a pistol set, Herbert takes a snap, and it's a handoff up the middle, and he's going to get brought down for a 4-yard play. Kansas City will burn their first timeout with 1:57 to play. He's going to line up under center again. We go back to the running back. Dobbins to the outside, and he'll get met and brought down to set up a 3rd and 1. Please just run the ball. Even if they stop it, they would have to burn that final timeout. It will be a handoff to Dobbins to the outside. Dobbins has the first down and a lot more deep into Kansas City territory, and we will knee out the rest of the clock and head to the conference championship game. We are now officially just 1 win away from getting to the Super Bowl, and I honestly did not see at the bottom of the screen if we will be taking on Buffalo or Baltimore. And by Buffalo or Baltimore, I obviously mean Buffalo or Jacksonville, where Buffalo got the win 21-9, so that is where we will have to go for the AFC Championship. The NFC Championship is between the 7-seed Eagles and the 6-seed 49ers. It's really weird to just see a matchup of a 6 and a 7 seed in a conference championship game. We are a 7 seed, but Buffalo is at least a 3 seed. But let's see if we can go into Buffalo and pull off the upset here. Well, we got a fun situation here. 1:34 to go here in the game. Down by 6. Herbert with 1 timeout. Going downfield on the first play. He finds Quentin Johnston to the 46-yard line. Sorry about the weird cut there, but now a 1st and 10. Herbert lines back up under center. He'll drop back to pass again. Firing quickly downfield to absolutely nobody. It brings up a 2nd and 10. That's going to set up a 5-wide set for the Chargers. Herbert all alone in the backfield will take the snap. He's going to go deep downfield. He's got a man, and that is caught down to the 46. They say he wasn't in bounds. I don't think I really agree with that call, but now a 3rd and 10. Back under center. Herbert will drop back to pass. He's going to run up the middle and look for room to run. He will take off and slide down to set up a 4th and 6. We are going to have to go for it. Back in shotgun from the 50-yard line. Herbert will take the snap to keep our season alive. Going downfield, he finds Ladd McConkey all the way to the 30. Keeping the no-huddle offense going now. 30 seconds to go. Herbert back in shotgun with a play fake to Dobbins. Looking to go downfield. He's under pressure. He escapes Von Miller. And Herbert's going to take off himself and slide down to the 23. We burn our final timeout with 20 seconds to go in the game. For a 2nd and 3, Herbert back in shotgun. Will drop back to pass. Stand in the pocket. He steps up and he's looking to run again. He'll have the 1st down and slide. But we really can't afford that, and we run out of time. What in the hell was that logic by EA? Throw the ball away. Why would Herbert tuck it and run with no timeouts remaining? Just an absurd amount of logic from EA on that one. But that is how this rebuild is going to wrap up by a final score of 19-13 in the AFC Championship game.